Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
There is a lot of curiosity about what's happening in Panjshir Valley, whether the Taliban have taken it, not taken it, did their flag come up at the governor's house, was it taken down later, has it changed hands? I know there is curiosity, there is also lack of clarity. So it doesn't mean that we'll not talk about it, we'll talk about it. But let me first say that if you look at the picture at Afghanistan, or the picture emerging from Afghanistan, and it's been a few days since we visited that story, it's important to underline the fact that the most important visual coming out of Afghanistan is not the flag, the Taliban flag at the governor's house in Bazarak, which is the capital of Panjshir Valley, Panjshir province. No, that is in a way kind of a sideshow. Because now Panjshir is only one area. It's only 3,500 square kilometers. It's very small, just about 70 kilometers long, hemmed in by high mountains and passes from all sides. It's great. It's great to defend because you can defend those passes, but as long as one pass is working for you, from where you can get the supplies, or more than one pass, but at least one pass. Right now, the Panjshiris have all passes closed because unlike the mid-80s when they fought the Soviets, when they got help from the Pakistani side, because Pakistanis were able to come in from Kunduz and those areas, and Americans were able to send them stuff from those areas, or 96 onwards when they were fighting the Taliban, when an American-led effort with a lot of involvement from India was run from Tajikistan to keep them supplied. Today they don't have any of that. So no matter how well they are stockaded, they are at a disadvantage. So I would say that whatever happens in Panjshir, it would be a matter of time. And my expectation, my hope will be that there is some kind of a peace settlement, so bloodshed is prevented. Having said that, I will also tell you that Amrullah Saleh, he has called his friends to say that he has not fled, he's not gone to Tajikistan, that he's there. In fact, see this tweet by columnist and intellectual based in London, Kapil Komiredi, who occasionally writes for ThePrint as well, once even in disagreement with me, strong disagreement with me. He has tweeted that Amrullah Saleh says he's there, and he's also sent me a message asking if I would share it, because Amrullah Saleh wants people in India to know that he hasn't fled. But the fact is that this is quite a hopeless battle to defend as long as Panjshir Valley or the Panjshiris do not have any outside power supporting them and supplying them. Because the same passes, high passes, which give you impregnability, they also create a cul-de-sac for you. So you are now surrounded from all sides. You can't go anywhere. So same passes that protect your territory, you stop others from coming in. The same passes, when the other force has control of what's outside the passes, they can prevent supplies from coming in. And given how far India is geographically, it's impossible to keep the Panjshiris supplied. So I would say that's a matter of time. And once again, hopefully, the intervention of religious leaders now, the clergy, to bring about some kind of a peace settlement will work. Because all said and done, people like Amshah Massoud's son, and also Amrullah Saleh, these are valuable people and Afghan patriots. So we leave Panjshir at that point, but we look at something else. The more important visual coming out of Afghanistan is not this Taliban flag on the Panjshir governor's house. It is the presence of Pakistani ISI chief, that is Lieutenant General Faiz Hameed. You see pictures of him preening and smiling. He's preening and smiling, and you see the style in which he's standing with one knee slightly bent, stylish, sharply cut civilian clothes, holding a cup of tea without saucer. And then you see the person sort of in front of him to the left, person with a big smile. That is Pakistan's ambassador to Afghanistan. And that is the smile saying, I delivered Afghanistan to you. And General Faiz Hameed's presence also tells you that this is Pakistan trying to tell the world, one, that they have won in Afghanistan. Second, to plant the flag in Afghanistan to say, We are the ones who are responsible for this, and we are the ones who really count there. Planting the flag does not mean they are declaring Afghanistan a province of Pakistan. They are not that stupid. But to say that we are here first, and if you see Pakistani media, there is a lot of news in Pakistani media, a lot of buzz that General Faiz Hameed is the first high foreign official to visit Kabul. Now, when it was pointed out that, well, the fact is that the head of CIA, that is Bill Burns, came into Kabul before that, much earlier than that, and talked to Mullah Baradar and others. It was then finally nuanced to say that he's the first high foreign officials to visit Kabul at the invitation of the Taliban. So the important thing is, why is he there? What's he trying to say? And what is the game that the Pakistanis will now play out, or what they want should play out in Afghanistan? So as I said, first of all, he came in to plant the flag, saying that we are first and we are a part of it. Second, he wants to make sure that Pakistan now that this is done, Pakistan's wish has been answered. They won in Afghanistan. Now they want a reasonably friendly regime, because these Taliban are politically different from last time. One, because this time they want foreign aid and foreign recognition. Last time they said they didn't care about this. Second, by this time they have seen some comforts. They have seen comforts of Karachi, comforts of Quetta, but more importantly also comforts of Doha. Some have traveled to the west. These are not Talibans, the Taliban of Mullah Umar's period. Even though Mullah Habatullah Akhundzadeh, who's the supreme leader, he is very conservative. As we had told you earlier, he was the Minister of Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice in the previous Taliban government. So if he's a supreme leader, you see that in the course of time, the essential characteristics of the Taliban ideology will come out. But from the Pakistani point of view, these Taliban, the new Taliban government, may not be as much of a client state as they were earlier, because they now want to be open to other countries, including to India, obviously, as long as it's in their interest. So these Taliban don't particularly want to be enemies of the whole world. That worries the Pakistanis. That's why in the very beginning, they want to make sure that the government there is friendly enough. Now, what is the Pakistani definition of friendly? Now, we know that Mullah Baradar was in a Pakistani jail for 8 years. He was jailed there in a joint CIA and Pakistan ISI operation in Karachi. He was jailed. He was also apparently tortured and not treated very well for a long time. Then I believe it got okay. But he would not have the same warm feelings towards Pakistan that, say, another group like the Haqqani Network would have. Because Haqqani Network was the original network set up by the Pakistanis way before the Soviets came into Afghanistan. So it was in 1973-74 when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, under the civilian government, he decided that he should start an anti-communist, anti-left kind of insurgency in Afghanistan led by Islamists. So the first Maulvi that he and his intelligence people chose in Afghanistan in 73-74 was Jalaluddin Haqqani, who's the father of the brothers right now, that is Rajuddin and Anas, who you see very often, and Uncle Khalil Haqqani, who is now the head of security for Kabul. So the first and foremost Islamist group in Afghanistan that Pakistan invested in is the Haqqani group. It has gone through many avatars since then. It's also one of the most prominent groups to have joined the Taliban early on in Mullah Omar's times and continued on there. It was also a darling of the CIA and the Americans. So it is Jalaluddin Haqqani's sons and family members who are now controlling Kabul. So once again, ISI was very careful and very clever in ensuring that the group that took control of Kabul and that now controls the security of Kabul completely is the Haqqani Network. So there is now this tussle between the Haqqani Network and Mullah Baradar, or what is generally called the Doha group, people who were negotiating in Doha, and the Haqqani Network. or the Pakistani group. So this is now going on, and Pakistan does not want this investment that began in 1973, nearly a 50-year-old investment, to go waste, because they want the Haqqanis to have the pride of place in some way there. They don't want them edged out. And Haqqanis, even if you listen to Anas Haqqani, he speaks very often. From his accent also you can figure out that he sounds more Punjabi than Afghan. So they are people, many of them were brought up in Pakistan, and they are very closely connected with Pakistan. So that is the larger purpose. The next purpose is to tell the world that Pakistan is needed, that you want your people out, Pakistan is needed, because Pakistan has a functioning embassy there. You want to get your aid in, Pakistanis are needed. You want to keep talking to the Taliban, Pakistanis are needed. Somebody gets kidnapped, you want the person out, Pakistanis will be needed. To say that we are the only ones with this kind of relationship with the Taliban. So in a way, you have an access to the Taliban mind and the Taliban centers of power through us. Pakistanis also know that this is a very brief window. This window will not last many years like it did the last time, because those Taliban were fully at Pakistan's mercy. This, as I told you, this time they will not be. So they know whatever leverage they have to encash right now. Because right now, even if ISKP does something, Pakistanis would say, after all, your drones, even if they are not taking off from somewhere in Pakistan, they have to overfly Pakistan, even if they come from the Gulf, because they can't overfly Iran. And there is no other way that you can come into Afghanistan without overflying one of those territories. So Pakistan wants to make use of that leverage, and that's why this big, quick move. Also, Pakistan realizes that while they celebrate victory, it's not quite like the liberation of Bangladesh, because that had a clear leader, that had a moral purpose, and India was very quick to get out of Bangladesh after it was liberated. Yet, the moment that leadership went out of the way, that is Sheikh Mujib and his family, when they were assassinated, for a long time after that, Bangladesh was ruled by regimes that were very hostile to India. And Pakistan could play games from there, although Pakistan is very far away from Bangladesh, geographically, even further away than, say, Afghanistan is from India. So once again, they want some things resolved right now. They are in a hurry. So you see that picture. I'm also sharing with you a tweet that I wrote over the weekend when this picture came out, saying that this is Pakistan's third tryst with being a colonial power. Because first, by mid-60s, they had become a colonial power vis-a-vis their eastern wing, that is East Pakistan. That arrogance of West Pakistan and the GHQ led by West Pakistan Punjabis, that led to them losing more than 50% of their country in 1971. The second time they thought they became a colonial power is when the Taliban took over in 1996. Because now Taliban were fully dependent on Pakistan, and Pakistan thought they were controlling Afghanistan fully. What did that lead to? That destroyed Pakistan's economy, that destroyed Pakistan's institutions, and also it earned Pakistan the titles of the global migraine, I think Madeleine Albright used it, and also University of Jihad. So now that they become a colonial power for the third time within 50 years, let us see where this leaves the Pakistanis. Now, once again, to round up, what is happening in Panjshir is a sideshow. What's opened out now in Kabul with General Faiz Hameed's visit is sort of the immediate big story. The larger story will open out in the weeks to come. Because the reason I say what's happening in Panjshir is a sideshow, I know it sounds very stirring and exciting and interesting, particularly in India, and I see a lot of TV channels really hyping it up. Understand, it's a very small geographical area. It's as easy to seal it as it would be in the past to defend it as long as you had some supply lines open. Now nothing is open. The second thing is, now there is a global acceptance of the fact that Taliban are a reality. The Taliban have won. Taliban are going to rule Afghanistan. The Americans, all their allies, the Western world, China, Russia, the entire Islamic world, Pakistan, of course, they all accept the Taliban as legitimate, not rulers yet, but legitimate conquerors or Afghanistan. And these are very feudal societies and feudal systems. It winner takes all. If I win the battle, I take everything. I don't share anything with those I might have defeated. So all the other powers now have to negotiate in that situation with the Taliban on every issue, whether it comes to civil rights, women's rights, human rights, all their own strategic posture in that area. So in that situation, it's almost impossible for another power in the world to go out to the help of the Panjshiris. Even India at this point is hedging its bets, because the fact is that everybody in the world right now wants to make a deal with the Taliban. If only the Taliban would get their act together and unveil a government. And it is to make sure that the government is something that the Pakistanis want, that Pakistan's ISI chief has been the first to land in Kabul.